Hi there, welcome to the 365 challenge, 365 guitar lessons in 365 days. Today I'm going to talk to you about inversions. Now, your typical major or minor chord has three different notes in it: a root, a third and a fifth. A normal chord would have the root as the lowest note. So, for example, if we're playing a C, the lowest note we're playing there is the third fret of the fifth string, and that is a C. So C is the lowest note in the chord C. Now, an inversion is where you use one of the other notes and put that on the bottom of the chord. So you'd still have the same notes. So a C chord has C and E and G. Three different notes. So even though, just to clarify, even though you're using 5 strings, you've got 2 C's, 2 E's and 1 G. So C, E and G. Now, typical C chord like that or like that has the C as the lowest note. Now, if we were to use the next note, the third, E, and put that on the bottom, one way of doing that is to use your third finger to play the E on the 7th fret of the 5th string, and then your first finger can bar strings 2, 3 and 4 on the 5th fret. Just play those 4 middle strings there. So that is a C first inversion. Now this is a slightly bit of confusing jargon here. First inversion, what that means is the first type of inversion. So an ordinary C chord has C on the bottom, but the first type of inversion is to put the third interval on the bottom. So slightly confusing talking about a first type and a third interval, but so a first inversion, the first type of inversion, is where you put the third interval on the bottom of the chord. So that is confusing. It's just another one of those music lingo jargon type things that's a bit unnecessary, but there you go. So we have an ordinary C chord. I'm using an A bar chord shape there, and then the first inversion, the first type of inversion, which has an E on the bottom, which is the third interval. And then another inversion is the second type of inversion, which is when you put the fifth interval. Now there's only 3 notes in the chord, remember, the root, the third and the fifth. So the root note at the bottom is an ordinary chord, the third at the bottom is the first type of inversion, and the fifth at the bottom is the second type of inversion. So a second inversion there would be to put the G at the bottom of the chord. Now you could do that by, you could bar strings 2, 3 and 4 on the 5th fret with your first finger, and you could put your little finger on a C on the 8th fret of the first string and just play those 4 strings. There, that's a C chord with a G at the bottom, G second inversion. Another way to do it, far more common way to do it, would be to play an open C chord, but to also include the G that's on the 3rd fret of the 6th string there. So it's a C chord, but it's got that G at the bottom. Now a lot of people learn that as if that's an ordinary C chord. They even think of that as an ordinary C chord. In fact it's not. It's a C with a G bass, so it can be written as C/G, or it can be referred to as a C second inversion. Now you can do that with any major chord and any minor chord. Have a first type of inversion and a second type of inversion. So inversions can come in quite handy when you're trying to disguise the fact that you're using a group of chords in a song that have been used a million times before, which is a very common problem with writing songs. so many songs, in fact almost all of them, incorporate the three major chords that are in any key and some of the minor chords too. So if I was trying to write a song that had, let's say, A, so in the key of A, and it would involve an A at some point and a D at some point and an E at some point, and maybe some of the minor chords from that key as well, then one of the ways I could disguise it from just making it sound like that kind of thing, I could use an A, an ordinary A first of all, but then maybe use an E with a B bass, so second type of inversion, that's using the fifth as the bass, and then maybe go back to A, but this time use a first inversion where I have the third interval at the bottom, in this case C sharp, and then go to a D which has a D as the bass. The reason why I've chosen those particular chords and those particular bass notes there is because I just wanted to have a rising bass note. So I have an A under an A chord, then I have a B a bit higher under an E chord, then I have a C sharp a bit higher again under an A chord, and then I have a D a bit higher again. Ooh, don't put your finger there, under a D chord. So now that sounds a little bit different and more interesting than the same chords with their usual non-inverted bass notes there. So there's just a little example of one way you can use inversions to jazz things up a bit and make them sound a little bit different than just the simple standard major or minor chords. Okay, see you next time.